What if the single safest financial habit you have, paying with cash, is actually the one thing silently sabotaging your wealth after the age of 50? I am about to reveal an unwritten rule from the playbook of the wealthy, and once you understand it, you will never look at a large purchase the same way again. Here is the paradox. While most financially responsible people are celebrating the freedom of paying off their debts, the truly wealthy are strategically taking on new, low-interest debt. They are securing 4% loans for major purchases, specifically so they can keep their own capital deployed in assets earning 8, 10, or even 12%. You are holding on to cash for a feeling of security. They are using a powerful strategy to turn the bank's money into their own personal income stream. This isn't about luck or greed, it is about mathematics. After 50, the financial game shifts from pure accumulation to strategic preservation and multiplication. Paying with cash feels responsible, but it is a profoundly inefficient move that silently kills three of your most valuable assets at once. First, it destroys the future growth of that money. Every dollar you spend is a dollar that can no longer compound for you. Second, it eliminates your liquidity. In an emergency or a market downturn, cash is king. And if yours is locked in a depreciating asset, you are sidelined. And third, paying with cash actually increases your financial risk by destroying your flexibility. And in your 50s and 60s, a lack of flexibility leaves you dangerously exposed. This brings us to the first pillar of this advanced strategy, the liquidity leverage principle. After 50, the wealthy view their cash not as a means to pay for things, but as a strategic tool that must remain available and ready for deployment. When they face a $70,000 expense, like a new vehicle, they don't liquidate $70,000 of their capital. Instead, they will often finance that purchase at a low rate, perhaps 4 or 5%, and keep their own $70,000 invested in a portfolio that is historically earning 8 to 10%. Let me share a clear, real-world example. A 60-year-old client of mine, a doctor from Florida, was purchasing a new $80,000 luxury car. His first instinct was to pay for it outright. Instead, we ran the numbers. He secured manufacturer financing at 4.9%. His $80,000 remained invested in his balanced portfolio. Over the 5-year term of the car loan, his investments generated nearly $22,000 more in returns than the total interest he paid on the loan. He essentially received a free car, plus a profit, simply by using the bank's money instead of his own. But the strategy is even deeper than just earning that positive spread. By keeping his capital liquid, he maintained what is called opportunity liquidity. That $80,000 was still available, ready to be deployed into the next great real estate deal, a new business venture, or to buy high-quality stocks at a discount during a market correction. This is a critical mindset shift. Cash is for investing, and financing is for large purchases. And speaking of pursuing business opportunities, it is critical to protect the assets you've already built. If you are leveraging your decades of experience into a consulting practice or a side business, forming a limited liability company, or LLC, is a non-negotiable step. An LLC creates a legal firewall between your business activities and your personal wealth, ensuring that your nest egg remains protected. Services like LegalZoom are specifically designed to make this process straightforward for professionals who want to safeguard their accumulated assets and keep them bulletproof. Establishing this legal structure early allows you to pursue new ventures with confidence, knowing your foundation is secure. This principle of being prepared was dramatically illustrated during the market volatility of 2020. Those who had maintained their liquidity were in a position to acquire phenomenal assets at deep discounts. Meanwhile, those who had tied up their cash by paying off cars or funding renovations were forced to watch from the sidelines. The wealthy understand that after 50, you cannot afford to wait years to rebuild your capital for the next great opportunity.
Consider the case of a woman named Emily from Austin, a 54-year-old marketing consultant. She had $250,000 in a brokerage account and was tempted to use it to pay off the mortgage on a rental property. She chose instead to keep the low-interest mortgage and maintain her liquidity. When the market dipped, a small commercial property in a rapidly growing neighborhood came up for sale at a 30% discount. She was able to use her liquid capital as a down payment. That property has since appreciated by over $400,000. Had she paid off her mortgage, that life-changing opportunity would have been lost forever. The wealthy are obsessed with a concept called capital efficiency. Every dollar locked in a non-productive or depreciating asset is a soldier taken off the battlefield. They would always rather pay a small financing cost to keep their entire army of capital working for them at maximum capacity. Now let's move to the second pillar of this strategy, which is the tax arbitrage advantage. Here is a fundamental concept that is often overlooked. The U.S. tax code is explicitly designed to incentivize borrowing and investing, not spending cash. When a wealthy individual takes a loan against their assets, whether it's their investment portfolio or their home, the cash they receive is not considered taxable income. This allows them to access large sums of money without triggering a single taxable event. Contrast this with paying cash. To raise the same amount of money, they would likely have to sell stocks, which immediately triggers capital gains taxes. Or worse, they might withdraw from a tax-deferred retirement account, incurring both income tax and potential penalties. Furthermore, the interest paid on many types of loans, especially for business or investment purposes, is often tax-deductible. In essence, the system rewards you for strategically using debt. Let's illustrate with a specific example. Michael, a 59-year-old architect in Virginia, needed $100,000 to invest in a new business venture. He had two options. Option 1, sell $100,000 worth of stock from his brokerage account, which would trigger roughly $15,000 in federal long-term capital gains taxes. Option 2, take out a home equity line of credit, or HELOC. He chose the HELOC at a 6% interest rate. Not only did he avoid the $15,000 tax bill, but because the funds were used for his business, the interest he paid was tax-deductible. This effectively lowered his real borrowing cost to below 4.5%. He used the bank's money, kept his investments compounding, and received a tax break for doing so. But the tax advantages become even more profound when you look at the long-term picture. This is a core component of a powerful estate planning strategy known among affluent families as buy, borrow, die. The process is elegantly simple. First, they buy assets that are expected to appreciate over time, like stocks or real estate. Second, when they need cash for living expenses or new investments, they borrow against these assets, tax-free. And third, they hold these assets until death. Here is the crucial part for generational wealth. Upon their passing, their heirs inherit these assets at what is called a stepped-up basis. This means the cost basis of the asset is reset to its market value at the time of death, effectively erasing all the capital gains that accumulated during the original owner's lifetime. The heirs can then sell the assets to pay off the loans and keep the remaining profit, with little to no capital gains tax. Imagine a 60-year-old entrepreneur who needs $200,000 to expand her business. Instead of selling her highly appreciated stock, she takes a portfolio-backed loan at 5%. She invests that money into her company, which generates a significant return, and she deducts the loan interest as a business expense. The original stock portfolio continues to grow untouched. When she passes away, her children inherit the stock at its new, higher value, and the capital gains from her entire lifetime are legally wiped away. This single strategy can save a family hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of dollars in taxes. It is one of the most powerful wealth transfer mechanisms available, and it is built entirely on the principle of using debt instead of cash. This brings us to the third and most powerful pillar, the legacy multiplication effect. After 50, the mindset of the wealthy shifts from personal wealth to generational wealth. They understand that when you pay with cash, that capital is removed from your family's financial ecosystem forever. But when you finance a purchase and keep your capital invested, you are building a multi-generational wealth machine. Let's look at a powerful, real-world scenario. A 65-year-old couple in North Carolina, John and Mary, wanted to do a $200,000 renovation on their home. Instead of selling stocks from their portfolio, they took out a home equity loan at a 5% interest rate. 5 years later, two things had happened. First, their home value had increased by nearly $250,000 as a result of the renovation. Second, and more importantly, the $200,000 that remained in their portfolio had grown by over $110,000. A single decision to use financing instead of cash created over $360,000 in new wealth. But the real magic happens over the long term. That extra $110,000 in their portfolio will now continue to compound for the rest of their lives. Assuming a conservative 7% return, that amount alone could grow to over $400,000 by the time it passes to their children. All of this additional wealth was created from a simple choice to use leverage. The wealthy have a visceral understanding of compound interest. They know that every dollar you pull out of the compounding engine is not just a dollar lost today. It is the loss of every dollar that dollar would have ever become in the future. This is the core reason they will always choose to finance a purchase with low-cost debt and keep their own capital working relentlessly in the market. It is not just about being rich in your own lifetime. It is about engineering a financial legacy that provides opportunities for your children and their children for decades to come. Are you beginning to see how this strategic use of debt can completely transform your financial outlook after 50? If this is causing a fundamental shift in how you view your money, type mindset shift in the comments below. I'm curious to see how many of you are having that aha moment right now. Here is the key takeaway. Your relationship with money must evolve as you age. In your 20s and 30s, wealth is built primarily through earning and saving. In your 40s, it's about accelerating that growth with smart investments. But after 50, the name of the game is preservation and multiplication, and the primary tools for that are strategic debt and sophisticated cash flow management. The wealthy view a low-interest loan not as a burden, but as an instrument of leverage. They would always prefer to have a manageable monthly payment and $300,000 in liquid income-producing assets, rather than having no monthly payments and zero liquidity. This single mindset shift is what separates the truly wealthy from the house-rich, cash-poor individuals who feel secure, but are, in fact, incredibly financially fragile. Let's compare two scenarios. First, we have Robert, a 60-year-old retired engineer in Ohio. He worked diligently his whole life to pay off his home and is completely debt-free. But when a rare opportunity arose to invest $50,000 in a promising local startup, and the stock market simultaneously presented a buying opportunity, he was paralyzed. His financial security had made him completely inflexible. Now consider David, also 60, a retired project manager in Arizona. He still has a low-interest mortgage and maintains a $150,000 home equity line of credit that he keeps untouched. When the same two opportunities appeared, he was able to act on both. He invested in the startup and bought discounted stocks, knowing his cash flow from his portfolio could easily service the debt. The difference in their outcomes was not their net worth. It was their financial architecture. David understood that after 50, liquidity is synonymous with opportunity, and opportunity is the engine of wealth multiplication. The critical shift is this. You must stop viewing debt as something to be eliminated at all costs and start seeing it as a tool to be optimized. The intelligent question is not, how fast can I pay this off, but what is the highest and best use of my capital right now? The wealthy play financial offense, not defense. They are focused on maximizing their returns, not just minimizing their obligations. So, how can you begin to apply this today? Here is a simple, practical framework. First, perform a spread analysis before any major purchase. If you can borrow money at 5% for a home renovation, but your investment portfolio has a historical return of 9%, your decision to finance creates a 4% positive spread. You are literally profiting from the use of the bank's money. Always seek out low or 0% financing offers from retailers. They are a form of free leverage. Second, proactively build your access architecture. This means establishing lines of credit, such as a HELOC, when you don't need them. The best time to secure access to capital is when your income is strong and your financial position is solid. Don't wait for an emergency. Now, it is crucial to be clear. This is an advanced strategy. It is not a license for reckless spending. To execute this effectively, you must have 3 prerequisites in place. First, you need stable and predictable cash flow to service any debt payments without stress. Second, you must have a disciplined and proven investment strategy. If you are not confident in your ability to earn returns that consistently outperform your borrowing costs, this is not for you. And third, you need the emotional temperament to handle debt strategically. If carrying a loan balance causes you anxiety, the psychological cost may outweigh the financial benefit. But if you meet these criteria, the question you must ask yourself is no longer, can I afford to pay cash? The real question becomes, can I truly afford the opportunity cost of not using this strategy? Every day that you allow your capital to sit idle or use it to pay for depreciating assets is a day you are falling behind in the game of wealth multiplication. True financial freedom after 50 is achieved not by eliminating all your obligations, but by optimizing all of your opportunities. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much has this video changed your perspective on using debt after 50? Drop your rating in the comments below. I read every single one, and your feedback is invaluable as I create future content to help you on your financial journey.